I have a bazillion books at home. I don't know about you, but I love the books. I have books on Audible, but I love to hold the book. This is one of them. I like old books, and it seems like a lot of the old books are kind of tiny, which are perfect. You know, you can stick them in your purse or your pocket or whatever. But as I was looking through my bookcase, I was looking for another book related to the topic that I wrote, and I kept hearing, keep digging, and I'm like, well, I've already dug through this pile, and I know the book is not in there. So I dig, and at the very bottom is this little book, and the book is called Prove Me Now, and I love this guy's name. His name is Gardner Hunting, okay? This book was published in 1953. So what's interesting is I opened it up and I said, okay, then what's the message for me? Have you ever done that? You pick up your book and you say, what do I need to know today? So I picked up the book and it comes to a story. So remember back then in the 50s, a lot of folks traveled by train. So he was a part of Unity, and his ultimate goal was to go to Kansas City. It's February, and he's traveling, and he says, you know, if he was in New York and he was going to go to Kansas City, but they had to go this crazy way. I was looking at the map going, why would he go that way? Hi and welcome. So what happened is he is leaving New York, and he thinks, I'm going to have enough time because I'm going to go to Kansas City, but we're going to go through Chicago, and I'll get to stop and see my brother. So the way the trains were, he was going to get about an hour and a half with his brother. So he thought, this is perfect. So he calls his brother and says, hey, I'm going to be there, but we're going to meet at 9 p.m. at night. And his brother's like, no problem. So he gets on the train, and as they're traveling, all of a sudden, they realize they're in a blizzard. They're hitting this big blizzard. So the conductor comes through and tells everyone, you know what, we're not going to make it on time. If we make it, we're only going to be a half hour late, but we may not make it on time. So those of you that are having connector trains, you're not going to make it, possibly. So as the night went on, the conductor kept reporting back, you know, now it's really bad, and the blizzard's really bad. So as the train trekked on, the blizzard became more intense, delaying the arrival stop every time. He began to pray because he really wanted to see his brother. Have you ever done that where you're in a mind where you think of something that you desire and it just begins to seem impossible because everybody out there starts saying, this is never going to happen. So don't get your hopes up. It's never going to happen. And he said, you know, I started to go down that road as well. But he said he was taught in his form of prayer that you pray once for what you want. And then all the other prayers that back it up are just a prayer of thanks. Thank you that it's happening. Thank you that it's already in mind. Thank you that it's already occurring. So he said, I decided, he was a newbie in religious science. And have you ever noticed when you were new in this teaching, how things sometimes would just all of a sudden happen, and then as you got more seasoned in this teaching, then you kind of held yourself up a little bit? Anybody else ever notice that? And someday I'll speak about that because it's called chemicalization. And chemicalization just means that it's coming, but you've put it off a little bit, and something else needs to bubble up before it can actually occur. So what happened is he said, you know, I was a newbie, and I felt like, gosh, I don't know that much about prayer. I'm a new student. But what I do know is I can pray simply. And I can pray simply if I've declared that I really want to see my brother. He hadn't seen his brother in 5 years. And it was really interesting because he says he's close to him, but they hadn't seen each other in 5 years, which I find so weird, but that's life. That back then, you know, they were apart. So he turns around and he says, I am just going to pray from the spot of thank you, God, that I get to see my brother. Thank you that this is all working out. So with that, the conductor comes through and he goes, now it's really bad. We're going to have to take another route. It's really horrible. Now they're in Albany, New York. I don't know New York that well, but wherever they are, now they're really stuck in the blizzard. So hour by hour, this conductor keeps coming by and telling them all the bad news. And he's just like, you know, this isn't helping me at all. So he keeps just saying, thank you, God. Thank you, God. And it's a sleeper car. So he goes to sleep and he wakes up in the morning and the conductor says, still bad news. So he said he decided he went to breakfast and he's sitting in the breakfast car. He said in complete solitude, just saying, I'm just going to stay in a place of thanks. just thanking God, just thank you, God, thank you, God. And he said, I almost felt embarrassed because I thought, God, am I off my rocker to be doing this? I mean, there's a blizzard outside. The conductor said we're not going to make it. Who am I to challenge a train schedule or anything else? And have you ever had that happen? When you've desired something, say you want a healing about something, say you want a job, say you want the perfect relationship, whatever it is, and everything out there is showing you it ain't happening. Right? And sometimes we'll go, okay, now I got to set my sights a little lower because it's not going to happen or whatever, right? So he said, I decided to make the decision. What is the thing that Genevieve Baran said? She said, I declined to be discouraged. So he declined to be discouraged. And many times when we're encountering something, we have to decline to be discouraged and say, thank you. I know it's working out. All of a sudden, the conductor comes through, and he says, it's hopeless, so everybody's going to be late. We may blow right through Chicago to catch our thing in Michigan. So he says, as the travel report became more dire, he began to give more and more thanks. Prayer calls for persistence in spite of appearances, doesn't it? It calls for us to be persistent in spite of our appearances. So he said, if he had persisted in weak-willed or a half-baked enthusiasm, what do you think would have happened? Sometimes if things don't show up in our lives right away, do you throw in the towel and go, you know what, it wasn't meant to be. It's God's way. Oh, it's just a matter of what's happening. Or do you stick to your guns and say, something good's coming out of this, and maybe even something better than what I was imagining? So he keeps going on, and it's rough. I've got a lot of pages of how rough it was. And then he remembered that prayer means that you keep on keeping on. Now, we have a saying here that says just let go and let God. Well, you can let go and let God, but don't let go of your determination. You can let go of your, but just don't let go of your thank you, God, it's happening. Keep that, keep that. So in solitude, he sits there in the seat, and he's just knowing. And he had conversed with the conductor, who kind of thought he was like a kook, and he kept telling the conductor, well, I've got faith that it's going to happen. I have faith that it's going to happen. The conductor's like, yeah, right, you have all the faith you want. So all of a sudden, the conductor comes into him and he announces, guess what? There's another train called the Flyer, and the railroad has sent that train out because our train was so bogged down in the blizzard. So all the people that had tickets for the sleeper car get to go on to the Flyer. And when you get to the Flyer, when you get to the Flyer, on the Flyer train, he's going to take you to your next spot. He goes, and as a matter of fact, because it's such a speedy train, they're going to get to Chicago before we would have originally gotten there. So he's like, So he looks at the conductor, and the conductor goes, with any luck, we'll make it to Chicago. And he said, with any luck? And in this teaching, we know there is no such thing as luck, is there? I mean, I have lucky rabbit's foots, or you have the horseshoe and all that kind of fun stuff. But actually, is there luck in this teaching? No. It's our thought. It's our thought that's creating the thing. And remembering that, we are always taught that you come from the place of your desire. Not please bring it to me in a pleading way, but you come from your desire and know it's absolutely happening. And it is an absolute thinking. There's no room for the doubt. There's no room. So the faith that you put in it is the faith of trusting that, you know what? I'm one with this power and this presence. And that power and presence is always supporting me and knowing my highest good. Now, if I'm not knowing my highest good, the universe can't provide it for me because I'm not there. I have to bring my thought up, and the universe says, aha, you're a serious player. I am going to manifest this because you're a serious player, and you've stuck to this belief, right? So sure enough, it was not only on time, and it was early by 3 hours, so he got to spend 3 hours with his brother, and it was originally only going to be an hour and a half. So he found that his faith that had originally been just a mere hope became an expectation, and with focus on his desire, it came into being. So the words of Hebrews say, that which is seen is not made out of that which is visible. And when you think about that for a second, we have the saying here that thoughts are things. Ernest Holmes says it in Science of Mind all the time. We say it here every day. Thoughts are things. But remember, thoughts are not just things. Thoughts put us in the energy field of the thing that we desire. And if our thought is on a vibration that's lower, or, gee, you know what? I only want so much. So if you could just give me, if you could just spare a little bit, I'd be happy to get a job that pays down here. No, right? We want to keep our thoughts up because our thoughts put us into the flow of the energy of the thing that we desire. But if the thing that we desire is a higher vibration and we're here, what's going to happen? They pass right by each other. And then you sit there and go, woe is me, what did I do wrong? I was treating, but it didn't work. No, you've got to stay in the energy and the trust and the faith and the belief that it comes into being. And that's how it works. That's absolutely how it works. So if your prayers aren't being answered, let's think about it. Anybody here in the room ever have a prayer not answered other than me? Okay. One raised hand. Yay. Okay, 2 raised hands. So think about it. First of all, sometimes the answer to the prayer comes a bit differently than what you thought. Like last night, I was saying, okay, I'm knowing that book. I was looking for this book. I wound up finding the book after I found this little guy. But then I said, okay, I get it, universe, I get it. So I turned around and I was looking for this other book by Catherine Ponder, and instead I found this book. So the prayer that I had was, all right, I'm knowing that book is here. I just saw it like 2 hours ago. Now I can't find it, right? So I find this book. And I say, okay, what if what I'm supposed to talk about is right in this book? What if the example is here? So I'm fishing through the whole book, and I read this story, and it didn't resonate. It resonated with me, but I wasn't on board because I wanted to talk about this other thing. So I write it, and this morning I get up and I'm like, that story stuck with me about meeting his brother in Chicago. Maybe it's because I'm from Chicago and I'm going there in a week. I don't know, but it stuck with me, and I thought, it's the simple things that teach us. It's simple. You say, this is what I desire, and I'm giving thanks that it's there. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And that's what you stick with. So sometimes we don't get an answered prayer because the thing that we're praying for isn't quite, there's another plan in mind, and something even better comes along, like this other book. Or, have you ever had this happen? Sometimes you pray for something, and you put it on the back burner, and you forget about it, and then all of a sudden it has a way of working itself out. Ever have that happen? Well, that's prayer manifesting. But you don't even acknowledge it because you forgot that you even prayed about it. But it actually came into being. And it came into being because of your faith and belief and your trust in the power. The other one is sometimes you lose your focus and you're not persistent as you can be. So it doesn't mean that you're constantly thinking about the thing that you desire, but I'm going to use one of the gals here from our Saturday class, and she said, when I was picturing my perfect husband, I wrote a list of everything that I wanted. In fact, my friend, I just did her wedding officiating a month ago, Denise, and she said, same deal. She had a list of everything that she wanted. And I'm like, oh, isn't that outlining? You're being too specific. You're saying this, that, and the other thing. Now what if that guy comes along and it's not, you didn't want someone with red hair or something, right? So she turned around and she wrote a list, and she said, I just put it out there. And some of the things on the list, though, weren't particular about looks, but they were particular about energy. I want a guy that loves and supports me. I want somebody that I'm simpatico with, that we understand each other. You've ever seen those couples that they kind of can finish each other's sentences? Our Ruth Wagner has an example of that in her life. I know she does because I knew her husband. And they get it. You get each other. So that was more of what they were both treating for, the one gal in the class and my friend Denise. And that's what they did, is they treated for the energy that the person brought to it. It didn't matter, the looks and all that stuff. Yeah, that can be a vague outline. But guess what? What they wanted was someone that really got them and that they understood. And they got that person. They really got that person. So sometimes we're not persistent enough. So you just stay the course. You just say, oh, it's coming, it's on its way, it's here. Although, wait, we don't want to say it's coming because that means it's delayed. So we want to say, it's here. We just know it's here. Because again, we always create twice, don't we? Once in thought and then in form. So the thought is not creating the thing. That's important to know. The thought is not creating the thing. It is bringing the thing into being. Because the fact that you had the thought means that it already existed. So your thought is manifesting that energy to funnel it right into a form. Does that make sense? Keeping our mind on the result and coming from the result of that we want to see about the issue at hand is how to do it. Being in a state of thanksgiving and knowing requires that we take our mind off anything that is withholding us. Now, you may have a wonderful friend that says, thinking that you're going to get this job, it's way out of your league. You need to set your sights a little lower. Now, their intentions may be well, but guess what? You have to go, not a word of truth in that. Not a word of truth in that. Because sometimes our well-meaning friends and family, they'll tell us things, and it's meant to help us and to support us, but instead it kind of knocks your dream down. Don't let anyone knock your dream down. That's why we have to hold our dream close. So in our Saturday class that we're doing, the Mind Over Medicine, this Dr. Lissa Rankin, she has this wonderful question, and she says, what if you have the power to heal your body just by changing how your mind thinks and feels? What if you have the power to change your body just by realizing how your mind thinks and feels? Now think about that. She was a doctor, is a doctor, a practicing doctor, and she began to see that there were spontaneous healings that were happening. Healings that they had no explanation for. And she said all sorts of doctors were constantly talking about, miraculous healings. And I'll tell you, there's probably examples in this center right here where people have had miraculous healings. I can remember being with Dr. Anita in a class, and she had prayer treated for a woman that had really bad kidney problem. I think it was a tumor on her kidney or something really severe, and she was going to have to go in for surgery. It was a tumor, I remember. So, and she said that when they got to the hospital, it was all set, the operating day, all that stuff. She gets into the hospital, and they do a precursor before the operation, and there's no tumor. There was no tumor. And so the doctor's like, well, I don't know how that would have happened because we saw the tumor, we've got x-rays, we've got it, it's proven, but there was no tumor. Now what happened was they had been doing prayer treatment. So think about in your own mind right now, something that might be bugging you, that perhaps you can let go of the concept of it and what it is, and know that there's a healing, whatever that healing looks like. Think about that for a second. Spend some time examining what works in my life that I would like to shift out of my life or bring into my life. The body is a result and an effect of thought. It is a result of spirit working through the soul or the law. The entire manifestation of spirit is both visible and invisible picture of the body of God. So think about this. What the mind thinks, the body thinks. What the body thinks, it becomes. Now, when we manifest something in our body, did the body manifest it? Remember that wonderful idea that we are not a body with a mind. We are a mind with a body. We are a mind with a body. So our mind is always manifesting something. So if something appears in your body, it's just an indication that something's out of whack with your thinking. That's all it is. So when you get in touch with the thinking that's creating whatever, think of the word disease as dis-ease. There's something that's causing an unrest in your psyche. And as a result, it manifests, the stress manifests in the body in some form. So if we can create it with thought, we can uncreate it with thought. Right? We can create a new picture and provide a new template to substitute for the one that we've been feeding ourselves. I watched a video last night of Joe Dispenza, And he's very much into quantum physics. And if you want, I've shared the link with our class, but if you want me to share the link, I'll look it up and share it with you. But basically he was saying, you know, just like Dr. Lissa Rankin was saying, that a lot of stress is created because stress is like the fight or flight. It's the person running from the tiger. And then when the tiger goes away, your stress goes away. However, in our lives, we're at stress factor 9 all the time. We're constantly creating these, we've got these high anxiety things all the time. And because of that, it's creating a chemical imbalance in the body, which therefore creates this unrest or dis-ease. And so the stress cannot help but manifest as something going on in your body. So the moment you acknowledge that, guess what? Simple. Turn around and say, what do I need to look at? What do I need to deal with? What ways can I relax? And Dr. Lissa says, you know, the relaxation response creates the atmosphere for healing. But that relaxation response comes from a centering through practicing the presence, through meditation, through deep breathing, through connection with people, through enjoying life. And so it's all those things that build on the relaxation response that allows the awareness that is really your truth to come through so that you can manifest who you are. That's really what it is. So every new cell created in the body is either a positive or negative thought in form that has substance. So everything that you listen to, every cell and every atom and every thought in your mind is listening to it. And we forget that sometimes. I look at my little cat, and he knows certain words. He's a sharp little guy. You say treat, and he is in the kitchen at that cabinet. He knows where those treats are. If I say, do you want to go out? We take a little outdoor exercise for 3 minutes a day. Little Bo gets to run out, and he runs up a tree, and he'll chase a squirrel, and he'll run around, and he'll roll in the dirt, and I'll go, okay, it's time to go in for a treat, and now he's going in. I've had to train him on that because sometimes he likes to hightail it out, but he comes back. So the thing is he knows trigger words. So think about for yourself. I thought, if my cat is smart enough to have words that trigger things for him, what could I use for trigger words for myself to help me get, you can just say, relax. Dr. David Alt says, entering heaven. He says that when he walks into any room, he literally, before he opens the door, he says, I'm entering heaven. I'm entering heaven. And by doing that, he sets the tone for where he's going and creates that energy for where he's going to be. He just says, I'm entering heaven. So let's see. The mind's belief can actually alter the body's physiology and the thought patterns that we have. Illness or upset of any kind is the wrong understanding and the wrong use of the law of mind. Just like a plane, and I know we talked about this, I mentioned this one time when I spoke before, just like a plane has to use the laws of aerodynamics in order to fly, and if it doesn't, it's going to go down because it's not using the correct laws of aerodynamics. It's the same with us. If we begin using the law of mind incorrectly, we start to go south. And your indication is what's going on in your life. If something's going on in your life that you don't like, you go, hold on, I got to stop a minute. I got to catch myself in this thought and correct. So my thing is, let's you and I deepen our understanding today of this one power, this one presence that's the very essence of our being that's always going, I love you, you're wonderful. Anything that you desire, you can create. The sky's the limit for you. And we forget. Now, Gardner Hunting gained a new vision through his trip with the understanding that the consciousness of the one power in his life and his affairs, everyday life occurrences, was his source and his power. And he said he kept that in his mind unwavering. There's one source, there's one power. It's not the snowstorm, it's not the bad train tracks, it's nothing. It's one power, and I'm staying with that. And the moment he kept saying, thank you, God, I'm getting to see my brother, it's going to be wonderful. Thank you, God, thank you, God. So when we come from a place of thank you, all things open up. And that is today's lesson, and so it is. Yay! Boy, time flies when you're having fun. Okay, this is the time of our sharing of our treasure and our gift. So I invite you to take your gift in the palm of your hands, and let's say together, divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, to bless, and to prosper all those who give and all those who receive. I rejoice in the sharing of my good, and I release my gift with love. And so it is. Now I know during our meditation we're not going to have music, and Vincent has offered to hum, but I said thank you, but I think we'll wait. But I wanted, before we began on the meditation, I wanted to share something about heaven. So like I said, David walked through the doors and said, I'm entering heaven. So let's think about heaven for just a second. Heaven is the state of awareness of our true nature. We experience our true nature to the degree that we become conscious of it. When we stop to really think about our true nature and become consciously aware of it, it expands. And it's always been this big, giant expansiveness, but our understanding of it expands, right? So we take in more of the understanding of our true nature, our oneness with each other, our oneness with the world, our oneness with the source of our being, with the entire universe. So the true nature of every individual is this goodness, is this wonder, is this compassion, is this love, and it's attained by all. The energy of heaven is an expanded state of consciousness. Become aware that you're always at choice to enter heaven. So with that, I want to go into a little meditation. I'm going to sit down. I hope that doesn't screw up the camera at all, but I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to ask you a question. I invite you to close your eyes. And the first question I would like you to ponder is, if your fairy godmother were standing right here, right now, right in front of you, sitting with you, maybe having a cup of tea with you, and she said, what is the one desire you would like to manifest now? I want you to think about that for just a second. Think about what is something that you would like to manifest right now. It can be big, it can be small, it can be today, it can be something you've been struggling with for a while. Just say one thing, and then we're going to go into our meditation. So let's take a deep breath in by the count of 3 and hold it, one count, and then exhale to the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And another breath in on the count of 3 and holding. 1, 2, 3, hold the breath. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Just one more. Breathing in, bigger than you've ever breathed all day. 1, 2, 3, hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now, in your mind, with your eyes closed, I want you to look down at your feet. See your feet firmly planted on the ground in a beautiful grassy plain, little meadow. It's a blue sky above. It's sunny. You can hear the wind blowing, but it's gentle. You can look across at the grasses, and the grass is just moving back and forth gently. You can see little butterflies flitting in and out, little birdies. And you look off in the distance, and you walk through the meadow, and there's beautiful trees, wonderful light trees as you're walking into them. And it's a forest, but it's not super dense. It's got spaces in it. And as you're walking through the forest, you're on this beautiful path. It's very comfortable. not a hilly, not lumpy. Your feet are completely comfortable. You feel very free and light. And your body feels light and buoyant. You've got this new energy about you as you're walking through this forest, and all of a sudden coming towards you, you see a beautiful angel coming towards you. And as she's walking towards you, she has 2 baskets on either hand over her forearms. And you greet each other, and she seems so familiar. And you're so comfortable with her energy, and you feel this love radiating from her. So you just feel this absolute sense of peace and well-being with her. And without saying a word, she indicates to you, is there something that you would like to release right now? Is there something you'd like to let go of? You think about it for a moment. As the 2 of you sit down on this beautiful bench that's right there in the forest, with the open canopy of trees and the sky. You can smell the pine, and you sit down and you ponder it. So think about something that you would like to let go of. And you can think of a symbol, or you can have written it on a piece of paper with your mind. And whatever it is, put it in that basket. Take a deep breath in and bless it and release it. And all of a sudden you feel this new lightness of being. And it's actually palpable. You can tell you've let go of something. Something that was no longer serving you. The angel smiles at you and she says, in her mind, to your mind, now what is it you would like to create right now? Is there something that you desire? Think about it for a moment. And when you're ready, she holds the basket out and says, reach into the basket. So you reach into the basket and you take out what it is that you desire. Now it can be a symbol, it can be something written on a piece of paper, or it can be a thought. It can be an energy that you just pulled in and pulled to your heart. But stay with that for a minute and know that it is yours. Right here and right now, it is yours. You also feel this incredible lightness of being, this wonderful sense of peace, but even more so, this beautiful sense of oneness. All of a sudden you have this awareness. You're in nature and you feel your nature. It feels like you. You feel a little truer to yourself. And you can feel the love and support of this angel, knowing that this one mind, this one presence is unified right here in you. And with this overwhelming sense of love and peace and oneness and accomplishment and compassion and kindness and a sense of purpose and a real understanding of your own personal truth of who you are, you both stand, bow to each other, and the angel lets you know that whenever you need, you can call on her. She is a part of you. She is your higher self. She is always with you. Bidding farewell for now, you both turn and you go down your path in this forest and you look up and you can see the sky and the trees moving. You can smell that fresh, crisp air. It's just beautiful, and you feel alive and alert and vivacious and radiant and bubbling over with joy. And next thing you know, you're walking through the meadow, through the beautiful grass. It's just glorious. You feel this energy and this peace. And as you're walking through now, look down at your feet. And then you're back in this room. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay. How'd it go? Okay? All righty. So now I believe this is the time, if there are any questions or any requests for prayer treatment, if anybody has anything. Nothing. Yes, David.
I have a demonstration.
The mic's coming.
Thank you. I have a demonstration that happened last Sunday.
Oh, yay.
My friend and I were trying to decide if we should go get frozen yogurt, so we flipped a coin and we lost. So we then went anyway. And as we're in the yogurt place, they're playing Elton John. We had the idea to get tickets. We then looked on Ticketmaster and we got $400 off 3 tickets.
Wow.
And we're going Sunday.
Wow. Where is he performing?
Dodger Stadium.
Oh, it's this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow,
Yeah.
wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, we were laughing about listening to him, and next thing you know, we had tickets. So yeah, it was really good.
Oh, that's awesome. So now let's ask you, what do you think precipitated that?
Hearing him on the radio in the yogurt shop.
Mm-hmm. And your desire to want to go, right?
Our desire to want to go,
Right?
and we were in joy and laughter about it, from laughing from the flipping of the coin and losing and going anyway. We laughed all the way walking across the street.
Isn't that fun?
It was just so fun, yeah.
Oh, that's great news. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? Prayer? Nothing? No one? Yes, Diane.
My little friend
Oop.
Dorothy Nystrom always tells me when things aren't working, she always talks to her angel.
Yes,
She says she has an angel with her all the time.
there's no doubt.
And sometimes I'm that angel.
Yeah,
But
we
you
can
know,
be earth
but-
angels, can't we?
But
Yes.
she does, so that I kind of thought, she's a wise lady.
And
and
she's a
so-
little angel herself, you know.
So
She is.
I told her that I will borrow her angel. And
Well,
have
you've got
her
your
angel
own.
with me.
You've got your own. But think about it. Sometimes it's just a matter of acknowledging that. If you liked that meditation, practice that sometime. Just sit in your bedroom on your chair and relax and see your angel coming towards you and going, what do you need to let go of today? What's not helping you out today? What do you need to let go of, and what do you need to embrace? Yesterday, I don't even know what happened, but all of a sudden I was cranky. You ever get that, where all of a sudden you're just crabby about everything? Like, oh God, the pen died, and I can't get my computer going, and the Wi-Fi went down. Oh no, I'm like, woo. So then I'm talking to my sister, and she goes, "Are you a little edgy today?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." So we started laughing, and we talked about. I said, "Oh God, thanks for snapping me out of it." I said, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on with me." So I sat down, and I did a little meditation, and said, "Okay, I need to clear this because I don't want to take this into anything else I'm doing right now." And you got to catch yourself, and it's a matter of sometimes just pay attention. It's that old pay attention to what you're paying attention to. That's all it is. Pay attention to what you're paying attention to. And if it's not going your direction, you just shift your thought. Yes. Did somebody have a question? No. I think we're set then.
Hang on one second. We have a prayer request
Oh, prayer request. Okay.
online from Sydney.
Okay. Thank you.
He'd like a healing prayer treatment request from Reverend Mary for Paulette regarding the appearance of vertigo.
Appearance of vertigo. Okay. So let's think about what vertigo is. It's dizziness, right? It's dizziness. And dizziness is being off center, isn't it? It's being off center. And I know a lot of people right now are experiencing that dizziness, so that's very interesting. So let's go into prayer and let's know there is one power and there is one presence, and that power and presence is God. It is the very source of my being that I am one with. I'm created of this power. I am of this power. And all the attributes and aspects of God are my attributes and aspects. That means perfect health, perfect wealth, perfect understanding, perfect inspiration, perfect understanding, perfect wisdom. The health of God is mine. I am centered in this truth. I know I am whole, perfect, and complete. That power and presence is manifesting as me right here and right now. And all appearances of dizziness and off-centeredness and outer-kilteredness is released as I breathe in this complete sense of wellness. I take my mind off that problem and I keep it on God. I keep it on my truth. I keep it on the very essence of my being, which is God. And with God, all things are possible. So I surrender over right now the worry, the concern, the sense of off-centeredness, the sense of dizziness. I let it go. I breathe in right here and now, and I relax into the knowing that my healing is now. I accept it. I am ready for it. I trust in it, and I believe in this power. As I release this prayer into the law, I give great thanks, knowing that my prayer is already answered, that this is already done. I can hardly wait to tell everyone, yay, it's over. The healing is here now. The dizziness is gone. I give great thanks that you hear me always, God, that my prayer is always answered, and that the answer to my prayer is always in the prayer itself. So I let it be, I let it go, and I let God, and so it is. Okay. I hope that helps Sydney. We're knowing for Paulette the perfect healing right now. Okay. Well, Wednesday has been launched. Here we go. All right, so thanks for coming, and I hope you enjoyed the talk, and we're looking forward to seeing you again and seeing you this Sunday. You get to hear Reverend Valerie speak, and we'll be in great good company. Thank you.